or phases that we need to use to liberate us as a people. And you remember Willie Lynch? Everybody know about Willie Lynch. Is that correct? Okay. Willie Lynch came here in the United States of America in the latter part of the 18th century to talk to the slaveholders and owners in America about how to treat their Negro slaves. And he told them, if you use this method can stay in place for 400 years and even 1,000 years. And that method that he taught the slave owners to use against our ancestors and us, because it's still being used today at this very moment, is still working. But we are going to break that. We're going to have to break that because, wow, we are at a crossroads in world history. With the advent of 9/11, this country began to change. With what's going on over in Iraq at this very moment, this is causing the whole world to change. So therefore, we in the African community, we have to change too. And the thing about it, that these two books, The Historical Origin of Christianity, The Historical Origin of Islam, is written for one race of people only. See, I don't sell this book or these books in European bookstores. I don't sell them. They're in African bookstores. The message in these books for the African community. See, I don't make a living selling books. See, so I don't have to go and sell this book to everybody of any race, creed, or color. See, my message is geared to one group, one race, and that's the African nation and the African community in the United States of America and throughout the world. But we are going to have to change because change is upon us. And the whole world is looking at us to make that change. See, we are the Pied Piper of the world, regardless of what you may think as to who we are as a people. We are the Pied Piper. Why? Because the whole world is following us. They're following us. Why do you think they have Soul Train on television all these years? Soul Train been on television.
Good morning.
It looked like ever since I was a little boy. Okay? Don Cornelius got so old his face dropped off. Huh? But Soul Train is there to teach white folks how to dance. Because if they didn't have Soul Train, you know, we invent and create dances every week. This week we're killing roaches, squish, squash, and next week we're doing electric slide, next week we're doing the boogaloo, and so forth and on, so on. But so they can't keep up with us. So they have to have something like Soul Train to be used as a demonstrator for them to keep up with our creativity. We are a great people. But now, we're going to have to do something about changing. And the change that I want to lay out will benefit us as a people. The first thing that we're going to have to do is to stop using and calling ourselves Negroes, Blacks, and African Americans. That's true. See? Where are you going with the name Negro? Can you go to the world map and pick out Negro land on the world map? No. Can you go to the world map and pick out black man's land on that? No. Can you go to the world map and pick out African American land? It doesn't exist. You're talking about a non-existing, non-ethical, ethnic people. It's not there. Like the great John Henrik Clarke used to say, if the name that you call yourself, if it cannot be applied to land, culture, and history, then you're talking about a non-existing people. Mm-hmm. You Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have to stop calling yourselves black people. You see, this is all over. Everybody using this black people. If you listen to, anybody listen to Tavis Smiley, okay, you know, he's good at saying black folk, African Americans, okay? But where does that take you back? To slavery.
Mm-hmm.
That's all, slaves in America. You see, you pick up the Ebony, Jet magazine, every other word is African American or black. You're not going no place with that. All of your educators, they use the term African American or black. I've seen a lot of so-called highly educated people on television saying that, we're Afro-Americans. Afro-Americans. Afro is a hairstyle. So how can you be from a hairstyle? Where can I look on the world map and pick out Afro-Americans from? It's not there.
It's definitely not.
So we're going to have to understand what we are doing to ourselves with the names that we are using. Now, I was giving a lecture in last month, in February, in Washington, Seattle, Washington, Tacoma, Washington, and then I was in Portland, Oregon. Now, the folk that brought me in, I was explaining to him about the names that we are calling ourselves and how damaging these names are, such as Negro, Black, and African American. Well, minority is another subject. Okay, that goes into another subject. But I say you're going to have to train yourself. You're going to have to go into the bathroom every morning and look in the mirror and say, I am an African ancient Egyptian. That's what you're going to have to say. Okay? I am an African ancient Egyptian. Mm-hmm. Why? It takes us back to our greatness. We're going to have to resurrect ancient Egypt and claim ancient Egypt. Okay? We cannot be an Egyptian. Now, don't let nobody call you an Egyptian, and don't you call yourself an Egyptian. Because anyone of any race, creed, or color can be an Egyptian. The Arabs over there now, those white Arabs, they're Egyptians. The Chinese can be an Egyptian. Puerto Rican can be an Egyptian. Indian of India could be an Egyptian. All you have to do is stay over in Egypt for a certain length of time or be born over there, and you're an Egyptian. Okay? Like anybody can be an American over here in this country. Of any race, creed, or color. You can be an American, but you cannot be an ancient Egyptian unless you are qualified to be an ancient Egyptian. You know what qualifies you to be identified and called an ancient Egyptian? You have to be African. That's the qualification.
They do good work, y'all.
You have to be an African. So don't say I'm an Egyptian. Say I'm an ancient Egyptian.
Right.
Because ancient Egypt is lying in the continent of Africa unclaimed at this very moment that I'm talking to you. Mm-hmm. Unclaimed. And here we are, 40 million or more of us living in this hemisphere in North America without any ethnic identity.
Great guy and all, but you're not big. There can't be a more humiliating sentence.
In North America without any ethnic identity. None whatsoever. So the glove fits perfect. We cannot go any place. I'm talking about us living in North America. We cannot go to any place in Africa and claim our greatness. It's not there. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to knock anybody or Africans, and they are our brothers. We love them. But you cannot, we from North America cannot go into Africa and claim no place on the African continent.
That's a fact.
Okay, I'm home. Can't do it. But there is a space for us, a place for us that's been waiting for us to claim for years and years and years and years and years. And that's the civilization and culture of the ancient Egyptians. The world's greatest people that has ever walked this earth. Okay? During the time of antiquity, they were the only people on earth that had a writing system. They were the only people on earth that were literate. They had three forms of writing: Meta-Nature hieroglyphic, the hieratic phonetic 1 alphabet, and the demotic phonetic 2 alphabet. And whoever creates an alphabet, that alphabet can only be created one time. So they were the first ones to create a writing system and an alphabet. See? So therefore, they were the only literate people on planet Earth. No other race of people throughout the whole entire world could read or write because they didn't have an alphabet, including the Greeks and the Romans. The Greeks never had an alphabet. That's never been an institution that ever came out of Greece. Why? In order to have an institution, you have to have a writing system. The Greeks were uncivilized savages coming into and during the time of the invasion of ancient Egypt. See? Now, George G.M. James put out a book and said that the Greeks studied with the ancient Egyptians. That's not true. Because the ancient Egyptians did not take foreigners into their society. They didn't do that. They didn't take foreigners into their sacred society. Okay? So therefore, they did not study with the ancient Egyptians. But they did study with the Coptic Egyptians. Where? In the world's first Christian church, put up by Justinian and his wife Theodora in Constantinople, which is northeast Africa, misnomer today and called the Middle East.
Good morning.
They studied there at the world's first Christian church and the world's first university for the Europeans. But the teaching staff at the Hagia Sophia was staffed by Africans, Coptic, Melkite, Egyptian Africans. That's who taught the Europeans. But this is in the 6th century, in the middle of the 6th century. That's when it happened, after 537. See? But not when Alexander the Greek came into Egypt. See? So when Alexander the Greek came into Egypt, he forced the Greek language on our ancient Egyptian ancestors. And by them being a literate people, they applied one of their alphabets to the Greek language. So the Greeks never had an alphabet, but it was the language, the Greek language, that an alphabet was applied to. So today, as a misnomer, they say, oh, this is the Greek alphabet. Greeks never had no alphabet. See? So we have to understand who our ancestors are. I just said word, are. See? They teach you in these various universities that there was a Socrates. And Socrates was supposed to be the teacher of Plato. And Plato was supposed to be the teacher of Aristotle. And that there was a Herodotus. And that there was a Homer. That there was a Solon. And that there was a Pythagoras, etc., etc. All these Greek names are supposed to have existed prior to Alexander the Greek coming into Egypt in 332 BCE. I, Walter Williams, come along and challenge anybody who claimed that there was a Socrates, a Plato, an Aristotle, a Herodotus, Homer, etc., etc. Why do I challenge that? I challenge that because I ask one question. If you're going to say that these Greek names existed, then you tell me what alphabet did they use to write with? Because the Greeks had no alphabet. There's only one race of people having an alphabet on planet Earth. And those people are known to us today in history as the ancient Egyptians. These are our ancestors, but we have to know something about our ancestors in order to be spiritually and racially in tune with them. They are waiting for us to claim them. In the continent of Africa, they are waiting for us to come and make that claim. They are unclaimed. The ancient Egyptian culture and civilization is unclaimed in the continent of Africa. Why? Because the descendants of the ancient Egyptians have been taught away from ancient Egypt. How do they teach you a way? They name you and train you as a Negro. They allow you to come up and call yourself black. James Brown did it. He said he's black and he's proud. He had a little dance to go with it. See? Then Jesse Jackson come along and told white folks that call us African American. It's fine, beautiful. As long as you do not call yourself an ancient Egyptian, they'll call you whatever you suggest that they call you. See? They want to keep you away from that greatness. Because why? Your ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, civilized this whole entire world. Everything that you see around you came from the culture and the civilization of our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians. Everything. Paper, pen, ink, domesticating the earth, domesticating animals, living in brick buildings, science, mathematics. It goes on and on and on and on. They civilized this whole entire world, planet that we call world today, whereby the Europeans terrorized this whole entire planet. Every inch of this earth has been terrorized by the Europeans. He's over there at this very moment terrorizing the people in Iraq. He's right there. He even terrorized his own folks. Now I'm going to tell you something else. Now you listen to this. The Europeans, or Europe, has never been invaded by no one or nobody of any race, creed, or color. Never invaded Europe. Don't tell me about a Hannibal now, because there's never been a Hannibal. But that's another subject. Okay? But no one or nobody of any race, creed, or color has ever invaded Europe. But the Europeans has invaded every people, every culture, every race on planet Earth, including himself. It's something to think about. See? So we are going to have to resurrect ancient Egypt. And I was telling Brother Clemson Brown, and I'm going to tell Clemson again, Clemson, from this day on, you cannot use black people anymore, that term. You're going to have to use ancient Egypt, or ancient Egyptian, African ancient Egyptian. Don't use that, because you're not helping us as a people. You're setting us back. Every time you say black people, you're sending us back to slavery. Every time you say that African Americans, you're sending us back to slavery. Every time they use the term Negro, they're sending us back to slavery. But when you say that I am an African ancient Egyptian, what are you doing? I'm sending you back to the greatest people and the greatest civilization and the greatest culture that has ever existed on planet Earth. That's what I'm doing. And you can claim that because we are an African people and the ancient Egyptians are an African people. I didn't say we're Africans, they still are Africans. Now if you have to understand that, that's your first phase of us understanding and coming back to the forefront to liberate us as a people. That's what we're going to have to do. See, they won't have me on public television because I'm going to use the term African ancient Egyptian. They don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
I'm everywhere. I told you I'm like God. You know what I'm saying? Like God, nigga, I'm everywhere. Told you I'm everywhere. You know what I'm saying? You see?
So you will never, ever hear me use that word or call my brothers and sisters in the African community black. Never do that. Clemson, have you ever heard me use that term? I don't use that term. You will never, ever hear me use the term African American. I wouldn't dare call you an African American. I'm degrading you.
We on Wall Street, y'all.
I would never call you a Negro. unless I'm mad at you. And I'm calling you a Negro to be nice to keep you from calling you a nigger. See? That's a scholarly word. He's another Negro. See? So we're going to have to come back for our liberation. In order to do that, you're going to have to understand what it takes for us to be liberated and how we can go about liberating us. That's the first phase now. Are you following me? Now, the second phase of our liberation. It hurt a little bit, so I got to bring it to you. You know what that is? We're going to have to divest ourselves from all religions. Okay? I don't care what you may think of Reverend C.T. Chickering, your local minister. I don't care what you think of your imam. Okay? I don't care what you think of your blood of Abraham leader. Has nothing to do with that. Has something to do with you. The liberation of you individually as a human being. That's what it has to do with. And so therefore, we're going to have to divest ourselves from all religions. Okay? And find our way back to our own indwelling personal spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is very, very simple. Okay? Very simple. No human on earth was born with a religion.
Fact.
Nobody came here. No Christian, no Muslim, no Black Hebrew Israelite, no Jew, no Buddhist, none of that. You don't believe it, go and get your birth certificate. If you look on your birth certificate and see if there's Christian on there, a Muslim on there, it's not there. So, in order for you to liberate yourself and divest yourself from all these chaotic religions, you must know who you are spiritually. Now, I'm going to tell you who you are. Now, you listen to this. If you understand what I'm about to tell you, then you will be liberated for the rest of your life, and you won't owe me a dime.
Facts.
Okay? And I'm not trying to sell you a book. I'm not trying to do that. You want to buy the book? Fine. You buy it for your own self. Don't buy it because you're thinking you're helping me. No. Buy it because the information in this book will help you. Okay? But I'm going to tell you. You understand what I'm about to tell you. Then you will be liberated for the rest of your life. And it's very simple. Now listen. No human on earth was born with a religion. Do you agree?
Yes. I agree.
Every human on earth was born and created by a creator or creatress that used your mother and your father as human instruments.
That roach smell.
To bring each and every human on earth to this earth in human form. Do you understand that?
A lot of people don't live up here, y'all. Y'all see the grass, and in these mailboxes, mail is full like a motherfucker, y'all. So, like I said, poor leadership and this management around here. Look at that. Poor leadership, man. All these mailboxes filled with mail. That means these apartments are empty from poor leadership. So they need some leadership that's going to actually, you know what I'm saying? Bring leadership to this development. Otherwise, it's going to collapse. Just like Rome did. Just like the towers did. You know what I'm saying? Just like the Pentagon did. All right?
And that
down to talk to my doctor about Rybelsus.
You may pay as little as $10 per prescription.
And that, and your creative creatures, after using your mother and father as human instruments to bring you forth into this world as a human being, never gave you a religion.
Facts.
Didn't give you no religion.
Nope. It was introduced to us.
Gave you an indwelling spirit that's indwelling inside of you at this very moment that I'm talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
It was man who gave you the religion.
Facts. Man-made.
Every human that's born is hooked up to the universe. Their spirituality is hooked up to the universe by way of their pineal gland.
Mm-hmm.
Every human has a pineal gland.
Can't even see this crap.
It serves as a receiver and a sender between you, the human being, and the universe. The bottom of your pineal gland are your nostrils. What do you do with your nostrils? You intake air to keep that indwelling spirit alive inside of you. Is that right? Are you following me? Your pineal gland is a conduit.
Mm-hmm.
It serves as a receiver and a sender between you, the human being, and the universe. See, like this building here, they have conduits, electrical conduits running all over this building. And if you want power, you go there and plug in whatever you want to plug in to one of those outlets and you get power. Every human is plugged into the universe that way, by way of their pineal gland. So the power was given to you at the time of your birth, the spiritual power.
Mm-hmm.
You see? But these religions come along and they rob you of that. See, all religions are nothing but thieves. That's all it is. You see? And the first thing that they tell you and ask you, do you believe in God? See? Doesn't matter. Because God is man-made. So it doesn't matter. See, people are being imposed on when they are little children in their innocence by their parents. And their parents was imposed on themselves by their parents with a religion. You see that? So therefore, in your innocence, you can't tell your mother or father, say, Mom, Dad, I don't want to be no Christian. Mom, Dad, I don't want to be no Muslim. Don't do that to me. You can't, you can't tell them that because you're in your innocence. You see? But here they come, taking you down to old Reverend C.T. Chicken Wings Church, introducing you to chicken wings. And he is going to impose a religion on you. Next thing you know, you got a great big old cross around your neck. Singing in the choir, there is room at the cross for you. And you don't know, how did you get there? What happened? Huh? You see what I'm saying? You know, now, then they tell you, do you believe in God? They ask you, do you believe in God? Quite naturally, people are going to say yes. Because if you said, no, I don't believe in God, they say, well, Simpson Brown, he's odd, he's strange. Huh? So no one wants to be strange and odd. They say, yes, I believe in God. They don't know any better. So see, when you believe in God, they got a religion from you, buddy. The next thing that follows is a nice fat religion. See? Now, I told you you're going to have to divest yourself from all religions. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You're going to have to do the same thing with God. Do not worship or believe in God.
Coming over
God
on
has
Highland
no
Avenue.
power outside of religion. You see that? I'm going to tell you why. Inside of religion, God has power. Who gives God power? You, the believer. When you believe in God, you give God all the spiritual power that was given to you free at the time of your birth by the Creator creation to use your mother and father's human influence to bring you forth in this world.
Facts.
You give all of that power, that spiritual power that you have to God. And God is a man. If you don't believe that God is a man, every time you say the word or use the term God, you say he, his, or him. Is that correct? So God is a man. You go and look at a program called Touched by an Angel. You seen that program? They tell you God, he loves you. He always with you. See? And then no one's ever seen God, but this only God that you have seen is this European white image. That's the God that you have seen for Christianity. So God is a man. God has no spiritual power whatsoever. My wife comes to me one day and says, Walter, I'm going to tell you something about God. She says, now listen to this, it's very profound. She said, God is an abstract idea that needs human spirituality to give it life. Without you, the human being, giving God life, God will not have life. You cannot take God outside of religion. God has no power outside of religion. Then another thing, why would you reduce all of the creation around us? The sun, the moon, the sky, the stars, air, water, earth, animals, plants, and humanity down to one man. Down to one man. And this one man reduces God down to